I don't have to, I have put off my video because I have a feeling that images distract. Even myself, we all are distracted because of the images. So this is not required also. What is important is what he said. This title was taken from his small book, which was a small book with 4 lectures, 4 talks rather. Because this is the last Bombay Talks, 1985. Just a few months before he died. So I wanted to see whether what he spoke in 40 years, 50 years back, has he changed somewhere? Has he become different? Does he have to have a different message, alteration? Something is there or not? And moreover, ultimately what he says is a small book of 4 talks. The word benediction is where benediction is from a Latin root. It's a compound word. You see, which means it is Latin. Bene means good and dicere means to speak. Anyway, to be simple, let's say something good. That should be enough. Otherwise, there are so many synonyms, invocation, blessings, and a number of words are there, similar words. But something good is there in you. He said that benediction is where you are. He is talking to each one of us. Each one of us. So we will have to listen very attentively. So the word, which is not a thing, takes you to depths, its depths, intentions, etc. When spoken in compassion and love by one who lived it. I'm talking about Krishnamurti only. So I start this where he says, our brain, which is amazingly free in one direction, is psychologically a cripple. This is a dialogue between us, a conversation between two friends. So this is not a lecture to instruct, inform, or guide you. We are going to talk over together. Together, he has been always emphasizing on this together. Many things. Certainly not to convince you of anything or to inform you of new ideas, new concepts, conclusions, or ideals. We are going to look together at the whole world as it is, at what is happening not only in this part of the world, but also in the rest of the world together. And the speaker means together. You and he are going to observe without any bias, without any prejudice, what is happening globally. So this is a serious talk, not something intellectual, emotional, or devotional. So we must exercise our brains. We must have skepticism. So we must have doubt. We must question and not accept anything that anybody says, including all your gurus and sacred books. We have come to a crisis in the world. The crisis is not merely economic, rather it is psychological. We have lived on this earth for over 1 million years, and during that long period of time, we have passed through every kind of catastrophe, every kind of war. Civilizations have disappeared, so have cultures that shaped the behavior of human beings. We have had a great many leaders, political and religious. Will all the tricks that they have played on human beings, and after this enormous evolution of the human brain, we are what we have been, rather primitive, barbarous, cruel, and always preparing for war. Every nation now is storing up armaments, and we human beings are caught in this wheel of time. We have not changed very much. We are still barbarians with all kinds of superstitions and beliefs. At the end of it all, where are we? Please, we are talking over things together. It is not the speaker is explaining all this. It is so obvious. You and the speaker are together examining very carefully, diligently, what we have become, what we are. And we ask, will time change us? Will time, that is another 50,000 or 1 million years, change the human mind, the human brain? Or is time not important at all? We are going to talk about all these things. Human beings are wounded psychologically. Human beings throughout the world are caught in great sorrow, pain, suffering, loneliness, and despair. And the brain has created the most extraordinary things ideologically, technologically, religiously. The brain is extraordinarily capable, but that capacity is very limited. Technologically, we are advancing at an extraordinary speed, but psychologically, inwardly, we are very primitive, barbarous, cruel, thoughtless, careless, and indifferent to what is happening. Strong words. We are indifferent not only to the corruption that goes on environmentally, but also to the corruption that goes on in the name of religion, in the name of politics, business, and so on. Corruption is not just passing money under the table or smuggling goods into the country. Corruption begins where there is self interest. I'll repeat it. Corruption begins where there is self interest. Where there is self interest, that is the origin of corruption. Are we thinking together, or are you merely listening to the speaker? Are we going together as two friends, taking a long journey, a journey into the global world, a journey into ourselves? Please note this, a journey into ourselves, into what we are, what we have become, and why we have become what we are. And we need to take this journey together. It is not that the speaker takes the journey and points out to you the map, the road, and the way, but rather we are together, and the speaker means together. For he is not a guru. One should not follow anybody in the world of thought, in the world of the psyche. We have depended so much on others to help us, and we are not helping you. Let us be very clear on that point. The speaker is not helping you because you have had helpers galore. And we have not been able to stand alone, think out things for ourselves. We have not been able to look at the world and our relationship to the world and see whether we are individuals at all or part of humanity. We have not exercised our brains, which are so extraordinarily capable. We have expended our energy, our capacity, our intellectual understanding in one direction only, the technological. But we have never understood human behavior and why we are as we are after this long period of evolution. And as the speaker said just now, he is not helping you. We are together looking, understanding. Of course, we need the help of a physician or a surgeon. We depend on governments, however rotten they are. We have to depend on the postman and the milkman and so on. But to ask for help through prayer, through meditation, seems so utterly futile. We have had such help. We have had thousands of gurus and thousands of books, so called religious and non religious, and in spite of them, all we are helpless. We may earn a lot of money, have big houses, cars, and so on, but psychologically, inwardly, subjectively, we are almost helpless because we have depended on other people to tell us what to do, what to think. So please, the speaker is saying most respectfully, seriously, and earnestly that he is not trying to help you. On the contrary, we are together. So you and the speaker have to investigate all this. Our relationship to the world, which is becoming more and more complex, our relationship to each other, however intimate it might be, our relationship to an ideal, our relationship to our gurus and to the so-called God, we have to inquire seriously, deeply into the quality of a brain that comprehends or has an insight into the whole outer as well as the psychological world in which we live. It must be clear that we are not trying to point out a way, a method, a system, or in any way trying to help you. On the contrary, we are independent human beings. This is not a cruel or indifferent statement. We are like two friends talking over together, trying to understand the world, the environment, all the complications of the economic world, the separate religions, separate nations. Friendship means that we are not trying to persuade, coerce, or impress each other. We are friends, and therefore there is certain quality of affection, understanding, and exchange. We are in that position. So we first begin with what our brain is. The speaker is not a brain specialist, but he has talked with brain specialists. The brain, which is inside the skull, is a most extraordinary instrument. It has acquired tremendous knowledge about almost everything. It has invented the most incredible things like the computer, the means of quick communication, and instruments of war. And here it is entirely free to investigate, invent, research. It starts with knowledge and accumulates more and more knowledge. If a certain theory doesn't work, it is dropped. But the brain is not equally free to inquire into the self. It is conditioned, shaped, programmed to be a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist, and so on. Like a computer, the human brain is programmed that you must have war, that you belong to a certain group, that your roots are in this part of the world, and so on. This is correct. This is not an exaggeration. All of us are programmed by tradition, by the constant repetition in newspapers and magazines, by thousands of years of pressure. The brain is free in one direction in the world of technology. But that very brain, which is so extraordinarily capable, is limited by its own self interest. Our brain, which is amazingly free in one direction, is psychologically a cripple. Is it possible for the human brain to be entirely free? so that there is tremendous energy not to do more mischief, not to have more money or power, though you must have money, but to inquire to find out a way of life in which there is no fear, no loneliness, and no sorrow, and to inquire into the nature of death, meditation, and truth. Is it possible for the human brain, which has been conditioned for thousands of years, to be entirely free? Or must human beings everlastingly be slaves, never knowing what freedom is? Not freedom in the abstract, but freedom from conflict. Because we live in conflict. One fact common to all human beings from childhood till they die is this constant struggle, seeking security and therefore never finding it, or being insecure, wanting security. So, is it possible for human beings in the modern world, with all its complexities, to live without a shadow of conflict? Because conflict distorts the brain, lessens its capacity, its energy, and the brain soon wears itself out. You can observe in yourself as you grow older this perpetual conflict. What is conflict? Please do not wait for me to answer it. There is no fun at all. That is not a fun at all. Ask yourself that question and give your mind to find out what is the nature of conflict. Conflict exists. Conflict exists surely when there is duality. Me and you, my wife separate from me. The division between the meditator and the meditation. So long as there is division between nationalities, between religions, between people, between the ideal and the fact, between what is and what should be, there must be conflict. That is a law. Wherever there is separation, the sense of division, as the Arab and the Jew, the Hindu and the Muslim, the son and the father, and so on, there must be conflict. That's a fact. That division is the more. I do not know, but give me a few years and I will know. I hope you understand all this. Who has created this division between what is and what should be? There is the division between so called God, if there is such an entity, and yourself, and the division between wanting peace and being in conflict. This is the actual reality of our daily life. And the speaker is asking, as you must be asking too, who has created this division? Not only externally, but also inwardly. Please ask yourselves this question: who is responsible for all this mess, this endless struggle, endless pain, loneliness, despair, and a sense of sorrow from which man seems to have never escaped? Who is responsible for all this? Who is responsible for the society in which we live? There is immense poverty in this country. Do you understand all this? Or you have never thought about it at all? Or are you so occupied with your own meditations, with your own gods, with your own problems, that you have never looked at all this, never asked? There are several things involved in all this. Those who are fairly intelligent, fairly aware, and sensitive have always sought an egalitarian society. They have asked, can there be equal opportunities, no class difference, so that there is no division between the worker and the manager, the carpenter and the politician? So we ask, is there justice in the world? There have been revolutions, French, Bolshevik, which have tried to establish a society where there is equality, justice, and goodness, but they have not succeeded at all. On the contrary, they have gone back to the old pattern in a different setting. So you have to inquire not only into what human beings live in perpetual conflict and sorrow and why they search for security, but also into the nature of justice. Is there any justice at all in the world? Is there? You are clever, another is not. You have got all the privileges and another has none whatsoever. You live in a palatial house, another lives in a hut, having hardly one meal a day. So is there justice at all? Is it not important to find out for oneself and therefore help humanity? I am sorry, I do not mean help. I withdraw that word. To understand the nature of justice and find out if there is any justice at all, you must inquire very, very deeply into the nature of sorrow and whether there can be no self interest at all. Also, we should inquire into what is freedom and what is goodness. The society in which we live is created by every human being through his greed, envy, aggression, and the search for security. We have created the society in which we live, and then we become slaves to that society. Do you understand all this? We human beings, out of fear, out of loneliness, and our search for security, never understanding what insecurity is, but always wanting security, have created our culture, our society, our religions, our gods. To come back, who has created this division? Because where there is division, there is conflict. That's an absolute certainty. Think it out, sir. Is it not thought that has divided the world? As the Christian, the Buddhists, the Jews, the Arabs, the Hindus, and the Muslims, is it not thought? Then we ask, what is thought? Thought is the action by which we live. Thought is our central factor of action, right? Thought by which we make money. Thought which separates me and you, the husband and the wife, the ideal and what is. Then what is thought? What is thinking? Is not thinking the activity of memory? Please, sirs, do not accept a thing that the speaker is saying. You must have this quality of doubt, doubt your own experiences, your own ideas. The speaker is saying as a friend to whom you can listen or not listen as you please. That thought has created this division. Thought has been responsible for wars, has been responsible for all the gods that man has invented. Thought has been responsible for putting man on the moon, for creating the computer and all the extraordinary things of the technological world. And thought is also responsible for the division and conflict between what is and what should be. The what should be is the ideal. It is something to be achieved, something to be gained away from what is. For example, human beings are violent. That's an obvious fact. Even after a long period of time, man is not free of violence, but he has invented non-violence. He has invented it and is pursuing it. He would acknowledge that he is violent if he is at all honest, but in the pursuit of the ideal called non-violence, he is sowing the seeds of violence all the time. Naturally, this is a fact. This country has talked a great deal about non-violence. This is rather shameful because we are all violent people. Violence is not merely physical, it is also imitation, conformity, moving away from what is. So violence can end completely in the human mind, the human heart, only when there is no opposite. The opposite is the non-violence, which is not real. It is another escape from violence. If you do not escape, then there is only violence. But you have not been able to face that fact. You are always running away from the fact, finding excuses, finding economic reasons, finding innumerable methods to overcome it. But there is still violence. The very overcoming is a part of violence. So, to face violence, you must give attention to it and not run away from it. You must see what it is, see the violence between man and woman sexually and in other ways. Is there not violence when you are seeking more and more, becoming more and more So to look at violence and remain with it, do not run away from it or try to suppress it or transcend it. All that implies conflict. To live with it, look at it, in fact, treasure it, and not translate it according to your want, likes, and dislikes. Just to look and observe with great attention. When you give attention to something completely, it is like turning on a bright light, and then you see all the qualities, the subtleties, the implications, the whole world of violence. When you see something very clearly, it is gone. But you refuse to see things clearly. So we are asking, who has created this conflict of human beings with each other, with the environment, with the gods, with everything? Have you ever considered why you think you are an individual? Are you an individual? Or have you been programmed to think you are an individual? Your consciousness is like every other human being consciousness. You suffer, you are lonely, you are afraid, and you seek pleasure and avoid pain. It is so with every human being on this earth. This is a fact, a psychological fact. You may be tall, you may be dark, you may be fair, but those are all external frills of climate, food, and so on. And culture too is external. Culture too is external, but psychologically, subjectively, our consciousness is common, one with all other human beings. You may not like it, but that's a fact. So, psychologically, you are not separate from the rest of humanity. You are humanity. Do not say yes, it has no meaning, merely accepting it as an idea. It is a tremendous fact that you are the rest of mankind and not somebody separate. You may have a better brain, more wealth, more cunning, better looks, but put aside all that, for they are all surface things. They are frills. Inwardly, every human being on this earth is one with you in sorrow. Do you realize what that means? It implies that when you say you are the rest of humanity, you have tremendous responsibility. It implies that you have great affection, love, compassion, and not some silly ideas that we are all one. So we must inquire into what is thinking and why thinking has become so extraordinarily important. Thinking cannot exist without memory. If there was no memory, there would be no thought. Our brains, which are one with all the rest of humanity and not separate little brains, are conditioned by knowledge, by memory, and knowledge memory is based on experience, both in the scientific world and the subjective world. Our experiences, however subtle, however spiritual, and however personal, are always limited. So, our knowledge, which is the outcome of experience, is also limited. And we are adding more and more. And where there is addition, that which is being added to is limited. So we are saying that experience being limited, knowledge is always limited, either now, in the past, or in the future. And knowledge means memory. The memory held either in the computer or in the brain. So the brain is memory, and that memory directs thought. This is a fact. So thought is always limited, right? This is logical, rational, not something invented. This is so. Experience is limited, therefore knowledge is limited. Then we ask, is there any other activity which is not divisive, which is not fragmentary, which does not break up? Is there a holistic activity that can never break up? As me and you, it is division which creates conflict. Now, how are you going to find this out for yourselves? Seeing that thought is divisive, that thought creates conflict, that thought has created the society, then set you apart from the society which you have created. Thought is the only instrument we have had so far. You may say that there is another instrument which is intuition, but that can be irrational. You can invent anything and live in an illusion. So we are asking very seriously whether one has understood the nature of thought and whether there is any other action or a way of living which is never fragmentary, never broken up as the world and me and the world. Is there such a state of brain or a state of non-brain which is completely holistic, whole? You will find out if you are serious, if you are free, you have to throw away everything that you have accumulated, not physically. Please do not throw away your bank account. You won't anyhow, but psychologically put away everything that you have collected. That is going to be very difficult. That means there must be freedom. You know, the word freedom etymologically also means love. When there is freedom, boundless and at such enormous depths, there is also love. And to find that out or to come upon that holistic way of living in which there is no self interest, there must be freedom from friction, from conflict in relationships. We live by relationship. You may live in the Himalayas or in the monastery or by yourself in a little hut or palace, but you cannot live without relationship. Relationship implies to be related to be in contact with, not just physically or sexually, but to be completely in contact with another. But we are never completely related to another. Even in the most intimate relationship, man and woman, each is pursuing his or her own particular ambition, particular fulfillment, and one's own way of living as opposed to the other, like two parallel lines never meeting. In this relationship, there is always conflict. Face the fact. And what creates conflict between two human beings in your relationship with your wife, with your husband, with your children, which is the most intimate relationship? What is it that creates conflict? Ask yourselves, sirs, is it not that you have an image about your wife and she has an image about you? That image has been built very, very carefully over a short period or a very long period. This constant recording of the brain in relationship with another is the picture that you have created about your wife or your husband, and that picture divides. And especially when you are living in the same house with all the turmoil, you escape from that by becoming a monk or whatever it is, but you have your own problems there too, your own desires, your own pursuits, which again become a conflict. So, can you live without a single image of another? No image at all? Have you ever tried? Have you ever tried it? See the logic of it, the sanity of it. That is, that as long as picture making machinery goes on, recording the insult or the flattery, it creates an image about another, and that image is a divisive factor. So, is it possible to live without a single image? Then you will find out what true relationship is, because then there will be no conflict at all in the relationship. And that is absolutely necessary if one is to understand the limitation of thought and inquire into a holistic way of living that is completely non fragmentary. Another factor in our lives is that from childhood, we are trained to have problems. When we are sent to school, we have to learn how to write, how to read, and all the rest of it. How to write becomes a problem to the child. Please follow this carefully. Mathematics becomes a problem. History becomes a problem, as does chemistry. So the child is educated from childhood to live with problems. The problem of God, the problem of dozen things. So our brains are conditioned, trained, educated to live with problems. From childhood, we have done this. What happens when a brain is educated in problems? It can never solve problems. It can only create more problems. When a brain that is trained to have problems and to live with problems solves one problem, in the very solution of that problem, it creates more problems. From childhood, we are trained, educated to live with problems, and therefore, being centered in problems, we can never solve any problem completely. It is only the free brain that is not conditioned to problems that can solve the problem. It is one of our constant burdens to have problems all the time. Therefore, our brains are never quite free to observe, to look, free to observe, to look. So we are asking, is it possible not to have a single problem, but to face problems, but to understand those problems and to totally resolve them? The brain must be free, see the logic of it, because logic is necessary. Reason is necessary, and only then can you go beyond reason, beyond logic. But if you are not logical, step by step, then you may deceive yourself all along and end up in some kind of illusion. So, to find out a way of living in which you can face problems, resolve them, and not be caught in them requires a great deal of observation, attention, and awareness to see that you never deceive yourself for a second. First, there must be order, and order begins only when there are no problems. When there is a freedom, when there is freedom, not freedom to do what you like, that is not freedom at all. To choose between this guru and that guru, between this book and that book, that is merely another form of confusion. Where there is a choice, there is no freedom. And choice exists only when the brain is confused. When the brain is clear, then there is no choice, but only direct perception and right action. Thank you very much, friends. I have taken a lot of time, but this was important. I thought this is important for all of us and not for this. Like throughout, he has been telling this in all his 50, 60 years. He has been telling this, but probably what is right in front of you. Nations, yourself, your family, your friends, your circle, your amenities, everything is right before you. Can you see it now? Can I see it now? Rather, if I put it on myself, it will be less hurting to certain people who have better ideas, probably. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you so much.
Of course, after Harshad sir. Kamlesh ji, after Harshad sir.
Harshad sir.
Okay, are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, here the internet is very poor. I have just arrived here in Rishivali today and I am in my room. So anytime the internet can go away and it was uh, going on and off during Pradeepji's talk. And yes, Krishnaji speaks very beautifully, very simply, very clearly. But the problem is with people who are listening, because what Krishnaji says can also become a part of knowledge. And then one say, yes, Krishnaji is correct. But only when we become very curious to look at our own inner world, uh, and that is where the problem arises, that we cannot look at our inner world through thinking. It requires the freedom, as Krishnaji said, that one needs curiosity, attention, um, honesty, passion, energy to look at the inner world. And when in that process of looking at the inner world, it may happen that a new dimension, a new instrument comes into existence. And then I think everything what Krishnaji says seems very, very obvious. Only when there is the freedom to observe, and that freedom is not through thinking, not through uh, through words, because Krishna ji uses lots of words, but finally he says the word is not the thing. And that is the beauty. uh, Only when our mind becomes very silent, very clear, then we don't need to listen even to Krishnamurti. We can watch our own mind in action. And that is the real beauty, I feel. That is the real freedom. And then we can even question Krishnamurti, because it seems to me that in the past, several human beings have come, they were very, very curious. They had come to the freedom from suffering, like Buddha. And Buddha could speak very beautifully, Krishnamurti could speak beautifully, clearly. Uh, but what is the impact on the people who are listening? Are they immediately catching something and not then go on repeating Krishnamurti's words or Buddha's words? So I think beautiful things Krishnamurti had said about the conflict between what is and what should be, or between thinker and thought. And to see this, one needs to thought. And that is the difficulty, that the freedom is not there, and everything becomes kind of a knowledge movement. One doesn't come out from the the plane of thinking and feeling. So only when there is coming out from the plane of thinking and feeling into awareness, then there is a real beauty we can feel, and life becomes effortless observation of what is, and moving with what is without what should be coming into picture. Okay, were you able to listen my voice
Yes, sir.
completely?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I finished. Yeah, I finished. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Harshad.
Hmm.
Dinesh ji.
Are you able to hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, it was a very long lecture, and there was no problem with the lecture. Of course, JK is an extraordinary person and all that. But we have to also understand one thing, that time has changed. Earlier, we used to say that Gavaskar is a very beautiful batsman. He was a very expert batsman. Then we said Tendulkar was an expert batsman. Now it's a day of 2020. So we say that people don't have time. So we say that Manoj Tiwari is a good batsman or anybody else is a good batsman. Time changes, and we have to see what we have to take essence from the all the uh, or abstract from the all the lectures, and then we have to speak. That's what my feeling is. I'm sorry if I have hurt anybody, but that is my feeling. Anybody, anyway. Now, this benediction, this is a very mysterious word, because the dictionary meaning says different. It's an old meaning. The utterness of blessing, especially at the end of religious service. The Wikipedia, of course, Wikipedia when comes, it says a benediction is a short invocation for divine help, blessing, and guidance. So there is a difference. So one has to understand where we are going, where we are. We say that benediction is where you are, but what is in today's time? So let us, because we are speaking on JK, let us also see what JK, how many points JK has covered. He said benediction, an extraordinary thing. So if you have laid the foundation of virtue, which is order, that is a relationship. And when there is this quality of love and dying, which is all of life, then the mind becomes extraordinary, quiet, silent, mature, naturally, not enforced through discipline, through control, through suppression. Then that silence is immensely rich. Then the mind does not inquire in absolute, because it has no need to inquire for him that silence. There no need to inquire. For in that silence there is that which is at the whole of the time is the benediction of meditation. So he has used the word slightly differently because he knows what he is speaking. Thought has no love. This space divides. Meditation is ending of space. There is a benediction is for he who stepped out of the stream of consciousness, because what death is he has understood in while living itself, right? So these are the JK words. Another word is meditation is movement of mind in the freedom. In this explosion of bliss, and the eyes are made innocent, and love is then benediction. Benediction, endless joy, bliss, which is beauty, love, a state which has no frontiers. So we can go through this and then we can try to understand what really his mind is saying. There is a problem with us, and we must know it, as we know hunger, sex, and as we may occasionally know a benediction. Looking at the treetop or at the open sky, you see the benediction comes only when the mind is in the state of non-reaction. It is a benediction to know death, because death is unknown, right? Now, ultimately, what I would like to say, JK has used this word in reference to what tradition has referred as prasad or prasannata. Prasad means has been actually used the word in the dharmic sense or religious sense, and where, after all the procession and this thing, they say that you will get the prasad. Prasad means prasannata, or and this prasannata is a different than all pleasures and all other words. So, since time is short, I will skip this other things. So, in my views, JK used word benediction in different way. It is similar to the prasad or prasannata, etc. in Hindu tradition. In Hindu tradition, spiritually, it means appearance of a different state in either outer or inner world. For the time being, a different state appears, which is very different than your normal states which you experience. Now, this different state may appear in a time space uh, from uh, form at any special occasion. Means this different state may appear in a time space as a time space phenomena, and since it is appearing in the time space phenomena, it can be said as in duality, or a longer time in duality. Both came as phenomena under duality. But there can be a still longer non-dual benediction in which I is absent. So ultimately, when I is absent, there can be that state in which you do not bother about curiosity, you do not bother about any your pain, pleasure, and all that. And since I is not there, because in all these things you will find that I is the entity who is taking the experience. So when I is not there, what you will say? that experience or the experiencing is entirely different. Now you will ask, if I is not there, who is experiencing? So the state itself is from that energy which JK says uh, as sacred, immeasurable, and of other dimension and all that. That energy, whatever it has got, or it has got the capacity that we are experiencing in this world. So that energy has got potential, or you can say that that has got capacity, or that is having an inherent property that it can experience itself using its own tool. In Ashtavakra Gita, Ashtavakra said to Janak many things. Then comes after so many days, there was this is also having some pride, Ashtavakra. Then a small girl came to the Janak's court and said, "This Ashtavakra says that he is very intelligent and he knows everything. Can you answer to my question?" So the Janak said, "Yes, why not?" Then she asked Ashtavakra, "You said many things about many of the aspects in spirituality, but my question is, when there is no non-duality, who how the experiencing is taken place, how it can take place?" So Ashtavakra was confused and he could not give the answer to this. Then that girl said, and he said that you are not a small girl. First of all, tell us, who are you? Then the goddess appeared and she said that, Ashtavakra, you are having a pride. So I had to come here. Basically, the I am having the capacity, or I am having the feature that I can experience myself with my own using my own feature. So even at other places in Vedanta and other places, they say that Atma and other things are Gya Swarupa. They are not Gyan. They are not knowledge. It is a Gya Swarup. They themselves are knowledge. And they can the uh, that energy can create itself in many forms and still can experience all those forms. Thank you.
D Murthy, sir.
Yeah. Am I audible, sir? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. As Pradeepji was telling, this is a book by the name that Benediction Is Where You Are. These are 4 talks given by Krishnaji in Bombay in February 1985. As we all know, Krishnaji died in February 1986. So it's exactly 1 year before he died. He left this world. These talks were given, and these talks were very well attended. Each talk, there were 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. And I think the people in Bombay also knew that what he was talking in 1985 could be his last talks, and they came in large numbers. But funnily, the last talk is have the title is what it means. That benediction is where you are. I hope that we are taking up all these talks one by one. Pradeep ji has taken a lot of pain to read out the first talk given on 2nd February 1985. The title of this talk is our brain, which is amazingly free in one direction, is psychologically crippled, is a cripple. I will focus on this. And I also assume that going forward, we are planning to discuss the remaining three talks. Because in the final talk, he actually talks about that benediction that he is pointing out, and which is also the title of this booklet. So in the first talk, basically, they are talking about the conflict and how conflict creates problems, how conflict loss of energy, and also in the human relations, there is a division, mainly because we have got images. The husband has an image about the wife, and the wife has an image about the husband. And most of the time, the relationship is between these images, and that is a problem because there is no real human to human relationship. To have that relationship, we have to get rid of our images. For that, you have to stay in a state of attention and listen to your partner, listen to the other person. Then only there is a possibility of a real relationship taking place. And the real relationship is nothing but love. That also we should keep in mind. We are all searching for love. So unless we have real relationship in our day-to-day life, there is not going to be that manifestation of love at all. Other thing we talked about is this uh, conflict and how we are moving away from what is to what should be. He has given an example of violence. Violence is a fact. Human beings are very violent people, but we don't understand violence, so we have created something called non-violence. That is in the process of human thought. I don't know what violence is. I don't want to stay in that state of violence. I run away from violence and I create an ideal state called non-violence. The ideal state of non-violence is a non-fact, whereas the state of violence is a fact. And what we are doing is we don't stay with the fact. And we do not understand, we do not know how to deal with the fact. That's why we created something which is not there, not called non-violence. And so we run away and go on practicing non-violence. But in the process, the violence is there. That's why Krishnaji is telling in the talk also, can you look at violence like it is an extraordinary jewel? Which means what? You are staying in a state of attention. You are not interfering with the disorder called violence, which has manifested in you. And you are trying to see that closely and understand what it is. And all that you have to do in a state of attention, which means the self is not there. Then only the truth of what is violence can be understood and the violence can be eliminated. When the violence is eliminated, non-violence is naturally there. You need not run after the non-violence, forgetting the fact that violence is already there. That is one thing he was telling. And the same is the case with observer and observed and all that. We have been talking about it a number of times. Krishnaji has given a lot of importance to this fact. When I am angry, I am that. It's not that I am observer and I am observing a phenomenon called anger. I am that means I stay with that. Because earlier I thought I am different from my anger. Actually, this is all handiwork of thought. When that psychological condition called anger arises, there is no observer, there is no observed. It is a joint phenomenon. Only anger is there. Thought comes running and divides that into I myself and my anger and try to modify that anger. It can never do that because in the psychological field, both are same. That is what he is also telling. And when that conflict is there, there's a lot of energy is wasted. And he says it is a law. Division, contradiction, conflict, and waste of energy. That's how we are creating havoc in the psychological world. Whereas in the physical world, there is no problem. Physical world, everything is fine. And also another point we should keep in mind is the thought, the human thought has its right place in the physical world. Krishna ji is also, he talks of art of living, art of listening, art of seeing and all. And he says art means putting things in its right place. So thought, the right place for the thought is the outside world, the technological and physical world, where it has done wonders. But in its quest for security, thought has entered the psychological world and it has created a havoc. But that means it is in a wrong place. We have to understand that. And also, but if I try to put thought outside or try to ask a thought to go out, you see, there's one fragment fighting with the other fragment. The controller is the controlled. One fragment of thought which is in the psychological field, I am trying to push it out from the psychological field because it is creating havoc there, but that will never work. It is one thought is fighting with the other thought. Again, there is a dispute, there is a conflict, and also loss of energy. So these are some of the points I wanted to bring to your notice as far as the chapter 1 is concerned. Pradeep ji has read it out. Luckily, I have the book and I was able to follow what he's reading. And I hope the remaining 3 chapters will also be taken up in the next 3 weeks. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, D Murthy ji. Is my voice coming, sir?
May I make a small comment?
Harshad sir, is my voice coming?
Yeah, now it is coming. Yeah. Is my
at-
voice coming there?
Yes, yes.
I
Your
want to
voice is
make
coming.
yeah. This is, I don't know whether you will be able to understand what I am trying to say. I'm trying to say that what should be is also what is. How we define what is means whatever is happening in the mind is called what is. So suppose there is a anger is there, then that anger is what is. And then a thought says there should be no anger, that is what should be, that is also what is. So actually, all this thing, thought can change direction from one direction to the opposite direction, but all this thing can be observed only when there is the freedom to observe. And without that, whatever Krishna ji says can become like an idea, intellectual idea, and then we accept it, but only what is means even what should be is a part of what is. What is whatever is happening in the mind. So if there is a conflict is happening between what is and what should be, then that conflict is also what is. Okay, so but to see that it requires a freedom from thinking to see it. Okay, I finished. Thank you.
You are very right, sir. Harshad sir. You are very right that
Yeah.
what should be is also portion of what is.
Yes, right.
At one place, JK has said,
Mm.
is my voice coming, sir?
Yeah, coming. Yes, coming.
At one place, JK has said that as computer can keep everything in its memory aside,
Mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
can we do the same thing?
Mm.
So why the memory always interferes? That one has to see very in deep.
Mm.
Why always it is interfering?
Yeah.
Dinesh Waghmare sir wants to say something, so let him say.
Mm.
some
voice is
problem is
coming.
there at my place, and so Dineshji, please continue.
My voice is coming to you, sir.
Yes, voice is
Yes,
coming.
coming. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can continue.
We have to understand one thing, that on the one side we are saying that words are the problem, thought is a
Mm.
problem. On the other side, we are using so many words, and that too a difficult word with different meaning and all that. Why? What are the intentions of the speaker? He is also clearly saying that he is not teaching you. So you have to use your mind and brain. And I was, when Parmaji read this, at that time also I understood that this must be for the mob. And now D Murthy Sahib has confirmed that it was in the last days and there was 3,000 people. So the entire thought pattern or see, the thought pattern itself manifests in the lecture. So the entire lecture changes, looking to the persons present in front of you or who is listening. Now, my another thing, what I want to say, okay, not the others, but you have understood Krishnamurti to some extent. Why don't you simplify the things? Why don't you make things simple and present to the people? See how many views are there to your this on Google. 150, 160 or 170 means only those people have gone through your lecture or your this program, I should say. Why? Okay, I understand that there is entertainment and there is another thing which gets the more importance and all that in the today's man's life. But why the youth is not being attracted? Because we have not done anything from our side. We are just repeating the words of JK continuously. We are conditioned, we are this, we are this conditioning is making problem, and that. So what we are trying to gain? We will not gain anything. 1,000 times I have heard here that this conditioning is a problem. Is it really conditioning is a problem? Then why JK said that everything should have its proper place. Thought should have its proper place. Similarly, about violence, we say that violence is not good. He himself has said in this that non-violence is not the solution for violence. You have to be with the violence, and then you have to be. Once you are free, then you will you yourself will know what is the actuality. So these are the things. These are the very small points which we have to understand and then work on them, and then we have to present. But we are just repeating the JK's words and this, including myself. I'm not leaving myself aside, including myself. So this will not going to this will not have going to help anything. Thank you.
Yeah.
Prasad sir wants to say something.
Sir, can I proceed?
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, Varmaji has read the speech, it appears. So, there is nothing to be commented on that. That is from the original, from Krishnaji himself. Then Mr. Murthy, Dinesh Murthy, has given a good summary of the lecture. That is quite valuable. But then, for me, I have not read that book, that small book, those 4 talks. So without, because I have not read that, I have tried to understand the topic myself without reference to what the contents of those 4 talks. From when I try to understand the significance of this topic, what I find is benediction. It means, Varmaji has said something good. Is actually, we can call it a blessing, whatever is whatever is good in life. That blessing is where you are. That is the important point. We run to various places, pilgrimage centers. We run to gurus, all outside parties. We run to them for enlightenment, for illumination. The significance of this topic is that you don't have to run anywhere. Actually, you won't get anything from anywhere. You have to look into yourself. All those topics, conflict. We live in conflict. What is our reality? Our reality is we live in conflict with everybody. We can't agree, even a small group. So that reality you have to observe. And how do you observe? As Mr. Murthy has said, you observe without the observer. You are that content. So once you understand that, and as Harshad has said, awareness. Once you have that awareness of your content, of both the actual and the imagined, both the, Harshad has said, both what is and what should be, both are part of what is. Yes, but there is a slight difference to me. Your anger is part of the content. It is the actuality. The idea of non-anger, that is also a product of your brain. But it is not the actuality. It is something imagined, thought out. It's ideational. So once you have this type of awareness, that is that you live in content, you know, you realize your content, you realize the so many other aspects of your brain, envy, jealousy, fear, desire, greed, all these things. Once you become aware of them, then you don't have to run anywhere. You don't have to quote Ashtavakra Gita and all those things. That tradition myth and tradition, Krishnaji has been, to my mind, against this myth. You live in myth. That is our weakness. We don't live with facts. We live with the scholarship, panditry, tradition, and different places have different traditions. And every place respects its own tradition. So you don't have to bother about all these things which actually increase the conflict. Various religions have increased the conflict. Instead of reducing conflict, they have increased the conflict. They have created conflict. All those wars, religious wars. So, I know Mr. Waghmare is offended with my comments because he stands by tradition and all that. I know that. But I have to express whatever I think is the correct position according to my mind. So, that is the significance of this topic is don't run anywhere. Observe yourself. With observation, with awareness, there is freedom. Once there is freedom, that can create love. Freedom creates intelligence. Without that freedom, so long as you are a slave of tradition, you have no intelligence. Intelligence, all those things are the products of your freedom. And freedom is freedom from myth and tradition. There are a few lectures with that topic given by Madam Evelyn Blow or some, I don't know how to pronounce her, Evelyn, myth and tradition on various topics. Thank you, sir.
Can I say something here, Modakji?
Can I talk, please?
There are 3-4 minutes left. So,
Just one
Murthy sir
comment
and
from my side, Dinesh, if you agree.
Waghmare sir.
What I want to say, first of all, answer to the Prasad sir. Because of the JK's benediction, I should say, I neither feel offended now, or the actually say quantum is very less. So neither feel offended nor get risen by the flattery. So that is what my state of mind is. I should say what are the good points. Or another thing is, we have to see. You said so many things, virtue, violence, and many things you said, jealousy and envy or whatever thing. JK himself has said, if you start understanding all the things, by the by the time you will understand all these things, you will be dead. So one has to see what actually the person wants to say, what wants to convey. He himself is saying that I am not teaching you. So you have to go beyond his words and you have to touch his heart. Whether he wants to awake you or what he wants to do actually. Because here normal words he has already removed, or normal gains, motives, and all the things he has already removed from his teachings, or he said that you should discard all these things. So then why is he giving lectures for so many years? One has to understand, sir. Thank you.
Can I talk now?
Yes, sir. But be brief.
Just 2 minutes. Dinesh ji, you have made a statement earlier saying that the number of words spoken by Krishna ji, I fully agree with you. In fact, he has spoken the maximum number of words for any human being, living or dead, because he has been talking for more than 70 years. And the crux of what he's telling is that the thought is not the right thing, thought has got limitations, thought is in the wrong place, blah, blah. But because of his love and affection for the humanity, he was trying to convey it in different ways in to different people and all that. So nothing wrong with that. But he has got world record. This is number one. About Prasad ji, he has rightly said about that benediction, and I also agree benediction is nothing but blessing, a grace. You can call it a grace also. And he uses the word that benediction, which means that is coming from somewhere else, is not in the human brain. That he has explained nicely in the talk 4. In fact, the talk 4 ends with that sentence, that benediction is where you are. So I did not touch upon that because when you take up the top 4, we can discuss it in depth. That's all. And about Harshad ji, he was telling that what is and what should be are the same. Can't agree with that. What is different. What is what is happening now in our consciousness. And what should be is a projection of thought. Unless you deal with what is a fact, whereas what should be a non-fact. Anyway, I stop at this. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Actually, time has come. So everybody will have to work with himself and try to find what JK has said and what he has to do. Thanks
At
everybody
the
for
end,
participation.
Modak sir, please allow me to use one sentence. You are not what
Okay.
you think you are. You are what you experience you are. Means what is and what should be. Whatever treatment you are getting from outside, whatever you have to observe that also. And your thought world, he said that observer is observed. But who is observer? Observer is the past, and this observed thing is the present. Of course, it is wrapped with your perception and all that, but it is present. So you have to compare, definitely compare. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks all.